last time on Dragon Ball Z.
Due to special requests, this week is going to be full of my tiers. You guys know for me, Soulcalibur 3 is the top. It's the top of the food chain. Does the community agree with him? Find out today on Dragon Mark Z. Hey, what's up guys, it's Mark Yoon, and today I'm bringing another hopefully exciting video. So today is Friday, which means it's our Community Day video, and I have some comments from a video that I did talking about my tier lists for the Soulcalibur games that we are going to be getting into now. Some of these are pretty lengthy, so thank you for staying with me until this, and yeah, let's begin. Sahamir says, let's talk about the main games. Instead of ranking, I'm going to give my thoughts in order of release. Soul Edge / Soul Blade is fantastic. I love this for the same reasons I love Tekken 2. Both games might be dated, but there's a vibe that can't be recreated. The music is amazing, whether it's the original or Khan's Super Session. I fought Cervantes for so long in boss battle with Sophitia now that the whole instance is tied to my mind and can't be erased. Cervantes' boss theme was so fantastic, not to mention Inferno stage looks like the best stage we've ever had, so yeah, I love this game. Soulcalibur 1. Again, I love this. This introduced the 8-way run system, which was great. I love the stages, the music, the fact that there aren't stages that are all square anymore. Inferno is so much easier to beat than he was in the previous iteration of the games, but still just as challenging enough. I love how Taki now has 2 Kuroichis instead of just 1. It's a little thing, but it leaves an impression. The graphics look godly for the time. I mean, imagine looking at how godly Tekken 3's graphics looked and thinking, this can't get better, only for this game to prove you wrong. I honestly think just about everything about this game works. Soulcalibur 2. Some people may disagree with me, but I find this to be a downgrade for the previous game. It's still a great game. The music is great, the roster is great, the gameplay is on par with the previous game, but the vibe of the first 2 games just feels missing. The stages aren't that good, the English voice acting is bad, and Soul Edge was at least charming. The background looks underwhelming, and the atmosphere that I want just isn't felt by me. Also, it introduced guest characters. Screw guest characters. Soulcalibur 3. Sorry, I know you love it, but if the vibe was missing from Soulcalibur 2, he's responding to me, then it's really missing from Soulcalibur 3. Again, I think the game is great, the music is amazing, and Soul Edge style endings are back, but the series here starts feeling more like an anime fantasy than plain fantasy, and I don't like that. Not to mention the gameplay is pretty flawed here. So much of what makes it appealing is taken away, and I'd rather watch people play it than actually play it myself. Though I appreciate the amount of content. Soulcalibur 4. The game is an improvement over 3, but other than that, it's a downgrade. I hate the direction the story takes, I really do. Algo would have been a nice boss, but any badassery he could have had is killed by all those cutscenes of characters whooping him. I don't care if the scenes aren't canon, we still saw him get his ass kicked and kills his coolness factor. The music, stages, and content are all underwhelming. A really underwhelming game to say the least. Soulcalibur 5. Hate it, 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 hate it. I'm not going to say anything else. Soulcalibur 6. Finally, a return back to form. I love this game. All characters get to shine. The content is pretty fun for me. The gameplay is great. The stages look nice. The music is awesome. The select screen theme is probably the best by far. It's so much better than Soulcalibur 5 that it's actually not even funny. Persona Phantom 55 states, of course, Soulcalibur 2 is considered the best because of its fantastic on both competitive level and casually. Soulcalibur 3 is trash on a competitive level. Yeah, I mean, most people play Soulcalibur 3 for the single-player content. I wouldn't say about that. I would give more commentary on this one, but some of these comments are lengthy. Metal Raptor says, for me, I'm going to exclude S and instead include F ranks because I feel that way that every game has good points as well as its flaws, with the exception to one game. So I can't rank any of the one game in that position, including Soulcalibur 3. I'm going to exclude games that I haven't played from my list. A. Rank A. Soulcalibur 3, Soulcalibur 5. Or no, 6, I'm sorry, not 5. Jeez, that would be a mistake. Soulcalibur 3 is indeed one of the best games in the series. It had more styles, characters, features than any other of the other games, but somehow I don't feel it earns the S position. While a lot of extra styles were great, I feel that many of them could have been better implemented. They also lack unique side throw techniques and were not quite as well balanced as the main character styles. Battle Theater in particular was a great way of exposing how off-balance many of the extra styles were. I know a lot of people enjoyed Chronicles of the Sword, but to be honest, It didn't particularly find it all that fun. It was nice they included cutscenes for it, though. Another issue I had with Soulcalibur 3 was the weapon styles were locked under the class you choose, which was dumb because the game didn't tell you which styles were under each class until after you made your character. So if you made the wrong selection, then you have to recreate your entire character. While I do love Soulcalibur 3, I never felt the same sentiments towards the game as I had for Soulcalibur 1 and 2. It's not to say that it wasn't an outstanding game, though, as I scored it higher than those two for other reasons. While it's not perfect, I do believe that Soulcalibur 6 is one of the best games in the series. The battles are fairly well balanced and fun. The visuals are also some of the best in the series has ever had, though it would be nice if they made the distance blur an option. It also has a great roster, even without the DLC characters, and so far, all but 2 guests have a story, but the reason why I feel Soulcalibur 6 deserves an A is because they've made a damn good game. In spite of it being underfunded, and from the franchise no one expected to ever see anything from again, for a final point on Soulcalibur 6, I may be extremely critical with this game at times, but it's not because I have any ill feelings towards the game. I'm a critic by nature, and as you will see in my upcoming statements, I have had issues with almost every game in the series except for Soulcalibur 1. B tier. Soulcalibur and Soulcalibur 2. I remember the first time I played Soulcalibur 1. It was on one of the demonstration Dreamcast consoles over at Software Etc. The gameplay was amazing and beautiful, and in fact I'd go as far as to say it was ahead of its time. Just the other day I played a bit of this game on an emulator as my Dreamcast copy is scratched and doesn't work, and the Xbox 360 version has everything unlocked from the start, so there's no point in playing it, and was shocked at just how gorgeous it still looks some 22 years later. The gameplay is also held up. Honestly, there is nothing I can say against Soulcalibur 1, as it predates all the features that I might use to compare it to other games in the series. So I have to give it a B, as it's just below Soulcalibur 3 and Soulcalibur 6 on my list. Soulcalibur 2, in my opinion, earns its position mostly due to sentiment. I don't believe the game looks or plays as good as Soulcalibur 1 or 3, but I had a lot more fun with it over the years. I know that sounds odd, but that's just how it is. C tier. Soulcalibur 4 and Soulcalibur 5. I'm a bit on the fence with Soulcalibur 4. Some of the additions felt lackluster, but there were enough positives to make up for the difference. While it took a number of steps back with the character creator, it also had a number of improvements, and some of the best outfits from the series were in this game. One of the things I didn't like was the light to dark balancing that was based on the outfits you equipped. They forgot that your character could be an angel or a devil simply based on the colors you chose, and by adding items that affect gameplay based on the parts you equipped. Shifted to focus making powerful trash characters rather than nicely designed and well thought out characters. Critical finish was garbage and never worked. As for the guests, it was a weird move to go with Star Wars, and with the exception of Starkiller, I don't particularly like them. The bonus characters, on the other hand, were a significant addition, especially Ashalot Shura and Kamakiri Musi, who feel were a great rival to many of the official cast characters. I really wish they'd do something to bring them back in some way. I think my stance on Soulcalibur 5 is pretty well known, so I'll try to keep this short. Trash story, terrible roster, character creation was excellent, but it was in desperate need of updates. No decent offline modes, legendary souls, and I think that was it. It was too difficult. Ezio as a guest sounded cool until you played him. If you're wondering why I include Soulcalibur 5 on C rank as opposed to D, it's because the game's character creator had so many enhancements. If it were the game itself, then it would have scored a D. D. Soul Blade. I don't remember much about Soul Blade as I borrowed it from my brother-in-law while he was on deployment in the Navy and was more into playing Grandia at the time. But I beat the game and enjoyed it a lot, but not nearly as much as the rest. I'd have to say on the fact of Soul Blade, Soul Edge is actually superior to me in my opinion. It could be nostalgia, but I don't know. I like Soul Blade a lot. E. Nothing. F. Soulcalibur Lost Swords. Honestly, this game doesn't even deserve an F, as the game was one no one needed or asked for. Instead of following through with their Soulcalibur 5 DLC promises, which they canceled, or giving people who paid for Soulcalibur 4 and 5 the updates both the games desperately needed, Project Soul decided to rip off the paying consumers by giving people a PS3 exclusive of a trimmed down yet somewhat upgraded Soulcalibur 5 with a few features and characters from Soulcalibur 4 thrown in the mix. Oh, and did I mention that your character started out with no clothes? Yup, that's right, all the basic outfits were unavailable. I don't really know if they ever added them in for that matter. The game was there to take your money, and it caused fans to lose trust in the developers. It's probably pretty obvious, but the amount of content I feel for this game is pretty high, and part of why I have issues with Soulcalibur 5 is due to the existence of this game, as Soulcalibur 5 could have been much more had they chosen to update it instead of making this a train wreck. Eskiet says, do you think there's a chance of getting Soulcalibur 3 HD online like we did with 2? To answer that question, I would say it's a possibility, but it would probably have to have some licensing done with it because there's Xenosaga parts for the Xenosaga series characters in the game. Not to mention the fact it was fully funded by Sony, so Sony would have to give the okay to have it ported to other consoles, because I'm guessing if they made an HD exclusive version, they'd probably want it on Xbox and Switch as well. So all of that would have to be approved by Sony, and I'm not sure how likely that is to happen, but I hope so. At least I hope for like an HD trilogy or something like that. I'd pay a full $60 for that, just to let you know, but hopefully. Roxas 3 Sora XX says, 3 is the best, hands down, but I do think 5 was better than 6, even though 6 has better single-player content. It's the creation and multiplayer content that lobby searching for. Global Coliseum ranked was better because in 6 I can be a new player and get put with an S tier player, and that's not specifically fair to either player, but even less for a new player. Need I say more? But 2, if it made the tier list, would be an A, hands down. Thanks for reading. So I have a thing that I'm putting here. Oh, this is by Atherin Dragoneel. So I have a thing that I'm putting here. I found an oddball image that may make Viola more of a possibility as a character in the next season. There's a museum mode for Soulcalibur 6 inside the orb, and I think as well as holding it. I can't really tell from the image, but the inside actual orb is Viola and her character portrait from Soulcalibur 5, so it might be a hint to Aswell doing something to turn Amy into Viola. As I responded in these comments, I said that might be a lead up to a Soulcalibur 7, especially if she's using her Soulcalibur 5 outfit. That wouldn't mean that she's in this game. And there's nothing in the game that indicate that she's actually in there, except for maybe Star, which I think we've pretty much debunked in our past videos. So it's nice, but hopefully she'll be in the next game. KittyMeowser Gaming says, I like them all for different aspects, but if I had to rate my favorite, it would hands down be Soul Blade / Edge, since that was the first one I started with and have a lot of childhood memories attached to it. Soulcalibur 1 was good, but it felt to me personally like a step back in comparison to Soul Blade. Soulcalibur 3 and 5 are the best in terms of Create a Soul, Soulcalibur 3 being superior of the two, considering it had so much play value, and Create a Soul is just as mind-blowing for its generation. 5 doesn't hold well considering the game had so much cut content and took away a lot of the legacy characters. 4 and Broken Destiny are solid, and to me the best the game looked graphically. I really liked the style, the characters looked clean, and the voices were all well done. Soulcalibur 2 is good, but I'm going to be flamed for this. I don't think 2 is as good as everyone has blown it out to be. I feel the reason that 1 did as well is it had to do with Link being a guest character on the GameCube, and the fact that it was released on so many different consoles, and it was the first Soulcalibur game for a lot of people. I mean, no offense, I feel like when you grew up playing them all in order, it changes your perspective quite a bit. I'd have to agree with that sentiment. 2 is not my favorite as well, and I do like Soul Edge probably as much, if not more than 2, and mine wasn't even for Link. I did have the GameCube version as well as the PS2 and Xbox versions, but I think I played the PlayStation version the least at that time and the Xbox version the most because I'm huge into comics and I really loved Spawn, so Link, I was like, whatever. Like, I only played them when my friends came over because they wanted to play on the GameCube, and it did look better than the PS2, but I thought the Xbox version was the superior one. Marquise Ballard says, his ranked order is Soulcalibur 2, then Soulcalibur 3, then Soulcalibur 1, followed by Soulcalibur 6, Soulcalibur 4, and finally Soulcalibur 5. Thank you, Queen says, I only played Soulcalibur 4, Broken Destiny, and 6. They are all good games. I think 6 is obviously the best by far when it comes to the visuals and combat. Broken Destiny is similar to 4 on PSP, but has Kratos instead of Darth Vader. Broken Destiny is probably the best looking PSP game I own. It is a great looking game, but I think Crisis Core for me, or Dissidia, would probably be the best looking games on PSP that I owned. I don't know if you have those, but those are great looking games. And also, you need to play Soulcalibur 3, because it's like the best in the series, according to me. SolarFlare95 says, I won't be including the spin-offs and Lost Swords, as I haven't played them. But here we go. Rank 1, Soulcalibur 3. Rank 2, Soulcalibur 6. Rank 3, Soulcalibur 2. Rank 4, Soulcalibur 5. 5, Soulcalibur 4. 6, Soulcalibur Lost Swords. 7, Soul Edge, Soul Blade, and then finally Soulcalibur. Matt, I love the comment. Next time, put them in order, like in a line, so it's easier to read, please. My tier list. Oh, this is from Patriots1112. My tier list based on the ones I put time into. Number 1, Soul Calibur 2. Number 2, Soul Calibur 1. Number 3, Soul Calibur 6. Number 4, Soul Calibur 4. Number 5, Soul Calibur 3. And number 6, Soul Calibur 5. AgeF89 says, to be honest, Soul Calibur 3 and Soul Calibur 1 are the best Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur 3 is superior because of the bonus characters and a lot of single-player content. I'd have to agree, 3 is my favorite as well, so I'm kind of biased. Ashton Bird says, personally I like all of them the same. Despite not playing Soul Calibur Broken Destiny, Soul Edge, Soul Calibur Legends, Soul Calibur, and Soul Calibur 3, well, it's like almost all the series, Ashton. I got a copy of Soul Calibur 2 for GameCube, and my friend, it was his, but he gave it to me. Along with that, he also gave me his copy of Soul Calibur 4 for the Xbox 360. He bought another copy. I bought Soul Calibur 5 for Xbox 360 since my brother was working at GameStop at the time, and he said I'll just have to pay him back. This was during school play, so we were having at my school. After school play, me and my friend went home to my room to hang out. My brother dropped a copy of Soul Calibur 5 on my bed. I got Soul Calibur 6 on Xbox One when the game first came out. Me and my mom drove to GameStop to get a copy, even though they had no deluxe edition. I simply bought the season pass and at the GameStop at the same time, though I had to use a code that they gave me in order to get the season pass. So obviously some of those games are nostalgic to you. I would recommend going out and trying to play the other ones. They are pretty easily accessible. Soul Celestial says, technically there's also a Soul Calibur Pacha slot. I don't really consider the pachinko games because Japan's got a pachinko game for like literally every licensed product there is, and that's pretty much just like kind of like pinball. So I don't really include them in like the stories or even as a side game. I think that's just like a fun thing. It would be like seeing a Soul Calibur gambling machine in Las Vegas. I wouldn't really include it. But yeah, I was aware of that. Matthew Lugo says, are there any on the Go ports, like for the 3DS or something? And as I already explained to Matthew, Broken Destiny was on the PSP, but besides that, none of the other ones were on the Go ports except for that defunct now iOS game. I forget what it was called. So there's not much time in this because we're already running over 16 minutes. We had a lot of good comments for this video. Thanks, guys. Like I always said, every week we do one of these, so if you want your comment to be seen on one of the videos, then leave a comment down below. I will answer to all of them, and I will try to include them in our Friday community video and give you a shout out if it's worthy. And with that being said, guys, we're going to bring this video to a close. Stay tuned for a preview of what's to come next week.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
So this week we're thinking about doing a little bit more on the creative lore side. So I'm thinking about exploring some of the lore of some of the characters as well as visiting the museum mode from Soul Calibur 6. And we can find out more about the lore in the game. So you can look forward to that next week. Peace.